In the cold expanse of the asteroid belt, a lone ship carved its path through the void, its metallic hull reflecting the harsh, unyielding light of distant stars. Aboard the Resolute, Commander Eliana Zhao stared out at the tumbling rocks, each one a silent sentinel of the cosmos. Her heart thudded with a mixture of anticipation and dread. This routine patrol, once a comforting responsibility, now felt like the calm before a storm. She couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to unfold. The Resolute, flagship of Earth United, was more than just a ship. It was a testament to human ingenuity, a sleek, powerful behemoth that stood as a guardian of humanity's sprawling colonies. Commander Zhao's gaze was unyielding, her mind as sharp as the view from the Resolute's panoramic bridge windows. The weight of her father's legacy loomed large, a storied admiral whose victories were the stuff of military legend. Yet, where he had thrived in the clamor and clash of battle, Eliana sought understanding in the silence of space, her strategies born of quiet contemplation rather than fiery rhetoric. As she adjusted the ship's course, her fingers moved with practiced ease, yet her thoughts were turbulent. The whispers of alien artifacts hidden within these asteroids stirred a mix of skepticism and wonder in the crew, but for Eliana, they sparked a deeper curiosity. What secrets did these celestial bodies, floating relics of ancient cosmic events, hold? Were they merely rocks, or were they the keys to understanding potential allies or adversaries lurking in the dark? The bridge was alive with the soft hum of consoles and the muted steps of her crew, each member attuned to the rhythm of space travel, their routines a dance of precision and efficiency. Yet, beneath this calm, Eliana sensed a shared tension, a collective breath held too long. The vastness of space could make any threat seem distant, but Eliana knew better. The universe was older, wiser, and more complex than they could fathom, and she felt the weight of every decision she would make, knowing it could alter the path of humanity's journey among the stars. In this realm of infinite stars and possibilities, Commander Zhao was both a sentinel and a pioneer, her ship a beacon in the uncharted. But as the asteroids passed by, each one a silent guardian of its own untold stories, she couldn't help but wonder if they were also witnesses to the coming storm that might, in the end, test the very limits of her command and the resilience of her crew. The silent hum of the Resolute's engines was a constant reminder to Commander Eliana Zhao of the loneliness that came with command. As she paced the length of her private quarters, the holographic screens displayed a continuous stream of data, a digital heartbeat of the ship. Her reflection in the window was pale, spectral, set against the infinite black of space. The tranquility of the cosmos was deceptive. She knew beneath its serene facade was a universe of chaos and conflict. The abrupt chime of the communication console snapped her out of her reverie. The screen flickered to life, revealing the stern face of General Hawk, the head of Earth United Space Command. His visage was carved from years of military service, each line telling a story of battles fought and burdens borne. "Commander Zhao," General Hawk began, his voice crisp, carrying the weight of urgency. "We've intercepted encoded transmissions from the Zultharian sector. Their armada is on the move, projected to reach the outer colonies within days. The Council has made a decision." Zhao straightened, her heart rate accelerating not from fear but resolve. "You're sending the fleet," she interjected, the strategic part of her mind racing through potential formations and attack plans. Hawk's expression hardened. "No, Commander. We're sending only the Resolute." The words hit Eliana like a physical blow. Her mind reeled, grappling with the enormity of the decision. "One ship against an armada?" she asked, struggling to keep her voice even. "Sir, with all due respect, that's a suicide mission. The Council believes it's a calculated risk. Your orders are to intercept, assess, and negotiate. We need to understand their intentions before we can mount a full defensive. You have full autonomy, Eliana. Make no mistake, this isn't just about defense. It's a message. We want the Zultharians to see that humanity stands united, even if united means one ship in the void." Zhao nodded slowly, absorbing the gravity of her task. The solitude of command had never felt more pronounced. She ended the call and turned back to the stars, the weight of her new responsibility settling around her like a cloak. Preparations began at once. The ship buzzed with a new kind of energy, each crew member moving with a heightened sense of purpose. Eliana convened her senior officers in the war room, a stark, utilitarian space, deep within the Resolute's heart. The holographic projector illuminated their determined faces as they gathered around the tactical display. Lieutenant Commander Hiro Tanaka, her second-in-command, was the first to break the silence. "We need a plan that leverages our agility over their numbers," he said. His eyes locked on the hologram of the approaching Zoltharian fleet. "Hit-and-run tactics, guerrilla warfare in space." Chief Engineer Lena Voss chimed in, her voice steady but her concern evident. "The Resolute can outmaneuver them, but our firepower is limited. We'll need to enhance our shields and weapon systems. I suggest diverting power from non-essential systems to boost our combat capabilities." Zhao listened, her mind a whirlwind of strategies and counter-strategies. Each suggestion was weighed and measured, forged into a cohesive plan under her guidance. This was more than a battle. It was a statement of human resilience and ingenuity. As the meeting drew to a close, Eliana addressed her crew with a calmness she scarcely felt. "This mission will test us in ways we've never imagined, but I have every faith in each of you. We are not just the crew of the Resolute, we are the bearers of humanity's will. We stand together, as one." Her words hung in the air, a beacon of solidarity. As her crew dispersed, resolved to their tasks, Eliana returned to her quarters. Alone with the stars, she allowed herself a moment of vulnerability. The enormity of space mirrored her isolation, but also her purpose. With a deep breath, she steeled herself. There was no turning back. The fate of humanity rested in the hands of the one, the only Resolute. As the Resolute cut through the cold, dark sea of space, the tension among the crew was palpable, each member keenly aware of the daunting task that lay ahead. Within the confines of her command center, Commander Eliana Zhao reviewed the latest intelligence reports on the Zoltharian Armada. The data painted a grim picture, a fleet of formidable size and advanced technology, seemingly prepared to sweep through human territories with little resistance. In the deep reaches of the Zoltharian-controlled sectors, Admiral Krax stood aboard his command ship, the Dominion. His features were sharp, his eyes glinting like dark onyx, reflecting a mind that calculated every possible outcome with ruthless precision. To Krax, the humans were a minor irritation, a species clinging to their planets and moons with a desperation he found pitiful, yet somehow admirable. His mission was clear: to bring the human sectors under Zoltharian control, expanding the Empire's reach and demonstrating their superiority. Back on the Resolute, Eliana called her senior staff into the strategy room, a space dominated by a large circular table with a holographic projector at its center. The walls were lined with screens displaying star charts and tactical data. The mood was somber as the crew gathered, each officer carrying the burden of impending conflict. "We need to understand our enemy," Eliana began, her voice echoing slightly in the hushed room. "The Zoltharians are not just powerful, they are strategic. This isn't about mere conquest, it's about making an example out of us. We cannot let that happen." Lieutenant Commander Tanaka activated the holographic projector, bringing up a 3D model of the Zoltharian fleet's last known formation. Their ships are equipped with energy shields that our standard weapons will barely scratch. However, their formation suggests they rely heavily on centralized command and control. If we disrupt that, we disrupt their fleet. Chief Engineer Voss added, "I've been working on modifications to our torpedoes, experimental EMPs that could disable their shields temporarily. It's risky, and we don't have many, but it might give us the opening we need." Zhao nodded thoughtfully, her mind racing through scenarios. "Hiro, Lena, prep your teams. I want those EMPs ready to deploy as soon as we engage. Meanwhile, I'll try to open a channel to Admiral Krax. If there's a chance we can avoid bloodshed through diplomacy, I have to take it." As the officers dispersed to their respective duties, Zhao turned to her communications officer, Ensign Bailawa. Open a secure line to the Dominion. It's time we spoke with Admiral Krax. The connection was established, and the image of Admiral Krax appeared on the screen. His presence was imposing, even digitally rendered across the void of space. Commander Zhao of the human fleet. Krax's voice boomed, his tone laced with condescension. This is a curious gesture. One ship against my armada. Do you surrender? Eliana stood firm, her posture rigid with resolve. We do not seek conflict, Admiral, but we will defend our territories. I propose a ceasefire. Let us discuss terms. Krax laughed, a sound that sent a chill down Eliana's spine. You propose as if you are in a position to negotiate. I will consider your bravery. I will give you one cycle to reconsider your position. After that, we shall see if your one ship can make a difference. As the transmission ended, Eliana felt the weight of the challenge ahead. She had bought some time, but the real test was still to come. Turning back to the star-studded blackness outside her ship, she whispered to herself, "We will make a difference." Somehow, with the fate of countless lives hanging in the balance, the crew of the Resolute prepared for what could be their final stand. Eliana knew that the coming battle would not just determine the survival of her ship, but perhaps the future of humanity itself. The void of space around the Resolute was eerily quiet, a stark contrast to the storm of activity within its walls. The ship, now on a collision course with destiny, was alive with the sounds of preparation, metal clanking, voices echoing through corridors, and the soft hum of machinery being pushed to its limits. Commander Eliana Zhao moved through her ship with a calm determination, each step measured, each glance revealing a mind at work, strategizing, calculating. As the Resolute neared the coordinates for the rendezvous with the Zoltharian armada, tension gripped the crew. Eliana stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the main viewport where the first signs of the enemy fleet began to emerge from the darkness. A phalanx of ships, each one bristling with weaponry, formidable and relentless. The sight was enough to chill even the most battle-hardened soldier, but Eliana's resolve only hardened. "Status report," Eliana commanded, her voice cutting through the tense silence of the bridge. "Shields at maximum, weapon systems online, and EMP torpedoes are primed," reported Lieutenant Commander Tanaka, his voice steady, despite the rising adrenaline. "Commence silent running. Let's not announce our presence just yet," Eliana instructed. The lights on the bridge dimmed, and the Resolute slipped further into the shadow of a large asteroid, using the natural debris field as cover. From her vantage point, Eliana watched as the Zoltharian fleet maneuvered, their movements precise and unnervingly synchronized. She knew the time for talk had passed. The next move would be one of action. "Open a channel to all decks," Eliana ordered. Ensign Bailawa nodded, and soon Eliana's voice filled the ship, reaching every crew member stationed at their post. "This is Commander Zhao. In moments, we will engage an enemy whose might vastly outnumbers our own, but we have something they do not: resolve, ingenuity, and the will to protect our home. Remember, we fight not for conquest, but for the right to exist, to determine our own fate. Let's show them what one human ship can do." The crew responded with a quiet, determined acknowledgement. Eliana gave the order to exit the asteroid's shadow, and the Resolute surged forward, sleek and silent but deadly. "Target the lead ship. Let's test their shields," Eliana directed. Tanaka relayed the orders, and moments later, the Resolute unleashed a volley of the modified EMP torpedoes. The projectiles arced across space, trails of light racing towards their target. The Zoltharian lead ship, caught off guard, attempted to maneuver away, but it was too late. The EMPs struck, a burst of electromagnetic energy rippling across its shields. The Zoltharian shields flickered and faded, a momentary vulnerability exposed before auxiliary power restored them. "It worked, Commander. Their shields were down, albeit briefly," Tanaka reported, excitement and surprise mingling in his voice. "Good. Prepare to launch a second volley. Target additional ships. Let's stretch their resources thin, Eliana responded, her mind already racing through the next steps of her strategy. As the Resolute prepared its second attack, the Zoltharian fleet responded. A barrage of energy projectiles hurtled through space towards the Resolute. Eliana watched, her expression steely, as her ship's shields absorbed the impact, shimmering with each hit. Maintain course. Ready all weapons for a full assault, Eliana ordered, her voice a beacon of calm in the storm of battle. The crew worked with precision, each member playing their part in the dance of war. The Resolute, agile and fierce, darted between the larger Zoltharian ships, unleashing its firepower. Each hit on the Zoltharian fleet was a testament to human ingenuity and bravery. Through the chaos, Eliana remained focused, her eyes never leaving the viewport, her mind always 2 steps ahead. The battle was just beginning, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance. She knew this was their moment, their chance to prove that even in the face of overwhelming odds, one ship could make a difference, and she was determined to lead them through it. As the Resolute dove deeper into the maelstrom of conflict, the stars became streaks against the inky black canvas of space, reflecting the chaos of the battle unfolding. Commander Eliana Zhao, her face set in a mask of determination, monitored the movements of the Zoltharian ships from her command post. Their armada, while formidable, had not expected the tenacity and tactical cunning of a single human ship. The bridge of the Resolute buzzed with controlled urgency. Lieutenant Commander Hiro Tanaka coordinated the ship's maneuvers, shouting commands to the helm as they orchestrated another daring run through the enemy's formation. Evasive pattern Sigma 2. Ready the EMP torpedoes for another strike, he ordered, his voice a calm amid the storm of war. Chief Engineer Lena Voss was in the engine room, pushing the ship's systems to their limits. Divert all available power to the engines and weapons. We need speed and firepower now, she communicated through the ship's internal comms, her hands flying over the controls as she rerouted energy from non-essential systems. The Resolute, like a specter in the night, utilized the asteroid field to its advantage, weaving through the tumbling rocks that served both as shield and weapon. Zhao, observing the pattern of the Zoltharian response, noted their increasing frustration. The Zoltharians, accustomed to straightforward confrontations, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. Prepare to launch the EMPs on my mark, Zhao instructed, her eyes locked on the tactical display. And get me a firing solution for the main cannons. Target their flagship's command bridge. On her command, the Resolute emerged from behind a massive asteroid, its silhouette briefly outlined by the light of a distant sun before it launched its deadly payload. The EMP torpedoes, enhanced by Voss's engineering prowess, sped towards the Zoltharian ships, their paths calculated with precision. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. The shields of the targeted Zoltharian ships flickered and died, leaving their hulls exposed. The Resolute didn't hesitate. Its main cannons fired, beams of concentrated energy slicing through the vacuum of space to strike the unshielded vessels. Explosions blossomed in the void, silent but brilliant, marking the destruction of Zoltharian technology. Direct hits on multiple targets, Commander. Their flagship's bridge has sustained significant damage, reported Tanaka, a hint of exhilaration in his voice amidst the tension. Zhao nodded, her expression unchanging. Maintain pressure. Launch drones to provide cover as we make another pass. Let's keep them disoriented. As the drones deployed from the Resolute, buzzing forth like a swarm of protective insects, they created a screen of interference, disrupting the Zoltharian targeting systems. The Resolute charged forward, its engines roaring silently in the vacuum as it lined up for another attack run. Amid the chaos, Zhao remained a pillar of calm. She knew the importance of keeping her crew focused, and her tactics unpredictable. Helm, take us into the asteroid field. Use the larger rocks for cover. We'll hit them again before they can regroup. Her crew responded with the precision of a well-oiled machine, their trust in Zhao's leadership unshakable, even in the face of overwhelming odds. The Resolute danced between asteroids, its movements a testament to the skills of its crew and the desperate ingenuity of its commander. The Zoltharian fleet, now realizing the threat posed by this lone human ship, began to react more cautiously, their movements betraying a newfound respect mixed with apprehension. They had underestimated the humans, a mistake that cost them dearly in the vacuum of space where every second and every decision mattered. Zhao watched the unfolding battle, her mind already racing through the next series of maneuvers. Each explosion of a Zoltharian ship not only marked a tactical victory, but also sent a clear message across the stars. Humanity would not go quietly into the dark. They would fight, they would adapt, and they would survive, no matter the odds. Under the shadow of tumbling asteroids and the scattered debris of war, the Resolute moved with a grace that belied its desperate situation. Each maneuver through the asteroid field was a calculated risk, a ballet performed on the precipice of oblivion. Commander Eliana Zhao watched the holographic displays flicker with each burst of static from nearby explosions, her eyes sharp, her mind a fortress against the storm. The bridge was a nexus of controlled chaos. Lieutenant Commander Hiro Tanaka relayed targeting data to the gunnery teams, his voice a steady drumbeat against the hum of the ship. "Focus fire on their cruisers. Break their line," he commanded, his words slicing through the tension like a knife. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Lena Voss worked furiously to keep the ship's systems running at peak efficiency. The Resolute was pushing its limits, the strain evident in the groaning of its frame and the flickering of its lights. "Reroute power from non-critical systems to shields and weapons. We need all the firepower we can get," Voss barked over the intercom, her team scrambling to comply. Outside, the ballet of destruction continued. The Resolute, cloaked in the debris of shattered asteroids, used the natural cover to its advantage. It darted out from behind a massive, slowly rotating rock, unleashing a volley of laser fire and EMP torpedoes toward a Zoltharian destroyer that had ventured too close. The impact was immediate and devastating. The destroyer's shields faltered under the assault, flickering out as the hull was breached by precise laser strikes. Secondary explosions rippled along its surface, and it began to drift, lifeless, in the void. Zhao kept her focus on the tactical display, her mind racing through scenarios and strategies. "Tanaka, prepare to execute Maneuver Gamma 4. Let's thin their ranks," she instructed, her voice calm but firm. "Roger that, Commander." "Executing Gamma 4, Tanaka replied. The Resolute surged forward, its engines flaring as it sliced through the battlefield. It was a daring move, aimed at breaking through the enemy's formation to isolate their flagship. Admiral Krax, aboard the Zoltharian flagship Dominion, watched the display with a growing sense of unease. The human ship was unlike anything he had encountered. Its resilience and cunning were proving to be formidable. "Focus all fire on that ship. Bring it down," he ordered, his voice betraying a hint of desperation. The Dominion unleashed a torrent of plasma fire, the bright lances of energy cutting through space with deadly intent. But the Resolute was no longer there. It had already moved, anticipating the barrage, its silhouette a ghost in the cosmic winds. Zhao's strategy was clear. Keep the enemy off balance, never allowing them a moment to regroup or anticipate her next move. She turned to her communications officer. "Ensign Balewa, open a channel to the Dominion. It's time to talk." A tense silence fell over the bridge, as the communication line crackled to life. Admiral Krax appeared on the screen, his face a mask of fury and frustration. "Commander Zhao, this is futile. Surrender now and we will spare your crew." Zhao's response was measured, her tone steady. "Admiral, look around you. Your fleet is in disarray, your ships are damaged, and you are far from your supply lines. We can keep this up as long as it takes. Or we can negotiate an end to this conflict." Krax's eyes narrowed, but behind the anger, there was a calculative glint. He was a warrior, but above all, he was a survivor. "What are your terms, Commander?" Zhao did not hesitate. Cease your advance into human territory. Withdraw your forces, and we will allow your damaged ship safe passage back to Zoltharian space." The admiral paused, considering. Around him the remnants of his fleet struggled to maintain formation, a testament to the resilience and determination of the lone human ship. Finally he nodded slowly. "Agreed. But this isn't over, Commander Zhao. This is but a single battle in a much larger war." Zhao allowed herself a small, tight smile. "We're ready for whatever comes next, Admiral." Resolute out. As the communication link closed, a cheer erupted on the bridge of the Resolute. They had faced the might of the Zoltharian Empire, and emerged not just intact but victorious. But Zhao knew that the Admiral was right. This was only the beginning. There were more battles ahead, and the future remained uncertain. But for now they had won a critical victory, one that proved the courage and ingenuity of humanity. The war was far from over, but today the tide had turned. As the last flickers of hostile fire died into the abyss of space, a heavy silence settled over the Resolute. The bridge crew, their faces reflecting the exhaustion and adrenaline of battle, looked to Commander Eliana Zhao for their next orders. The confrontation had ceased, but the tension of what was to come next hung thick in the air like the remnants of a storm. Commander Zhao stood at the helm, her eyes scanning the monitors displaying the status of the Zoltharian fleet, now retreating into the distance. The victory was significant, but the cost of such a confrontation was not lost on her. Each blinking light on her console represented systems in need of repair and crew members who had risked everything. "Status report," Zhao commanded, her voice echoing slightly in the quiet that followed the chaos. Lieutenant Commander Hiro Tanaka was quick to respond, his voice steady despite the fatigue etched on his face. "Shields are at 40%, main weapons systems are holding, but we've got minor hull damage in sectors 7 and 9. Casualties are low, all things considered. Repairs are already underway." Zhao nodded, her gaze lingering on the screen, showing the retreating enemy ships. "Good. Keep me updated on the repairs. I want us battle-ready as soon as possible. You never know when negotiations might break down." Her crew acknowledged with a series of affirmatives, each returning to their duties with a renewed sense of purpose. Zhao turned and made her way to her quarters, the weight of command settling back onto her shoulders with each step. Inside, she allowed herself a moment of solitude, gazing out at the stars that witnessed their battle. They shone indifferently, a stark reminder of the universe's vastness and the smallness of their skirmish within it. The next hours were a blur of activity. Zhao held briefings with her senior staff, discussing the strategic implications of their victory and the potential next moves by the Zoltharian fleet. The ship's communication channels buzzed with messages from Earth United, each congratulating them on their success and discussing the broader political ramifications. As repairs on the Resolute progressed, Zhao initiated a series of diplomatic communications with Admiral Krax. The exchanges were tense, each commander vying for position and advantage, yet both understood the necessity of a temporary peace. The galaxy was watching, and neither side wished to appear the aggressor in the aftermath of such a conflict. The negotiations were lengthy and fraught with difficulty. Zhao, seated in her office surrounded by digital maps and tactical data, spoke with Krax via a secure channel. "You know as well as I do that this ceasefire benefits both our people," she argued, her tone firm yet diplomatic. "Continued conflict will only lead to unnecessary loss on both sides." Krax, his image flickering on the screen before her, was not easily swayed. His pride was wounded, his fleet diminished. "This ceasefire is merely a delay, Commander Zhao. Do not presume it to be a sign of weakness." Zhao met his gaze, her expression unreadable. "It's not weakness to recognize a stalemate, Admiral. It's wisdom." The negotiations stretched into hours, but finally, an agreement was reached. The Zoltharian fleet would withdraw to their territory, and the Resolute would remain on high alert, patrolling the border regions. It was a fragile peace, built on the ashes of conflict and the promise of mutual destruction should hostilities resume. As the transmission ended, Zhao leaned back in her chair, the ghost of tension slowly easing from her shoulders. She looked out the viewport at the vast, unending universe. They had achieved peace, however temporary, and that was a victory in itself. But the peace was more than a cessation of hostilities. It was a moment to breathe, to regroup and to reflect on the cost of their freedom. Zhao knew the galaxy was a place of infinite possibilities, and just as many dangers. The Resolute, her crew and all of humanity would need to be ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. As she prepared to leave her office and rejoin her crew, Commander Zhao felt a resolve settle within her. They would continue to stand vigilant, to protect their home, and to face the future, whatever it might bring. The war was far from over, but today they had earned a moment of peace, and in the vast, indifferent expanse of space, that was no small thing. In the aftermath of the ceasefire, the Resolute drifted quietly along the boundary of human and Zaltharian territories, a silent sentinel against the backdrop of a vast and indifferent universe. Commander Eliana Zhao stood at the observation deck, her gaze fixed on the twinkling stars, each one a distant sun with worlds of its own. The quiet was a stark contrast to the recent cacophony of battle, offering a rare moment of introspection. The ceasefire had held. The Zaltharian fleet had withdrawn, and the border was quiet, but the silence was heavy with the weight of uncertainty, and the unspoken knowledge that peace was merely a fragile veneer. Zhao's reflection in the thick glass of the viewport seemed to merge with the stars beyond, a symbol of the loneliness of command and the solitude that came with it. She thought of her crew, their faces etched with the fatigue of battle, but also with the relief of survival. They were heroes, each and every one, though they would not claim the title for themselves. They had stood together, faced the abyss, and had not blinked. For Zhao, their bravery was a beacon, as bright as any star in the night sky. As she turned from the viewport, her executive officer, Lieutenant Commander Hiro Tanaka, approached. "Commander, we've received communication from Earth United. They've requested a full debriefing at your earliest convenience. They're planning a commendation ceremony for the crew." Zhao nodded, a slight smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. "Tell them we'll be ready soon. Arrange for the crew to have some downtime first. They've earned it." "Yes, Commander," Tanaka replied, a trace of pride in his voice. Zhao walked through the corridors of the Resolute, her steps echoing slightly in the quiet. She passed crew members who nodded respectfully, their eyes reflecting a mix of admiration and gratitude. Each nod was a reminder of the responsibility she carried, not just for the safety of her ship, but for the lives of those who served under her. In the mess hall, she found members of her crew gathered together, their conversations a gentle murmur in the otherwise silent space. They were discussing their homes, their families, and the things they wished to do once they returned. It was a testament to the human spirit, Zhao thought, that even in the shadow of war they could still dream of peace. Later in the solitude of her office, Zhao prepared for the debriefing with Earth United. The holographic displays around her were filled with reports, tactical analysis, and the details of their encounter with the Zaltharian fleet. Each document was a piece of the puzzle, a story of courage and cunning that had turned the tide of conflict. Yet, as she organized her notes, Zhao's thoughts drifted to the future. The ceasefire was a temporary measure, a pause in the relentless march of galactic politics and territorial disputes. She knew that the peace they had secured was tentative at best. The Zaltharians were regrouping, and Earth would need to strengthen its defenses. The next encounter, should it come, would be even more challenging. But these thoughts did not dampen her resolve. If anything, they steeled her determination. The Resolute and her crew would be ready, as they always had been, to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They would continue to stand watch over their little corner of the cosmos, guardians of a fragile peace in an uncertain universe. As Zhao finalized her preparations, she allowed herself a final glance out at the stars. They were unchanged by the affairs of humans and Zaltharians, eternal witnesses to the trials and triumphs of lesser beings. Zhao felt a kinship with them, a sense of shared endurance.